Peace and thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Process. I'm your host Nimbus, and today I'm going to be sampling some drums for you guys in Lexus Audio Editor. So now that I found the portion of the song that I want to sample, I'm going to make sure I select and grab just what I need, not too much, not too little. So now I have to find where that hi-hat ends. It's like a hi-hat snare. And I know that this isn't where it's supposed to end. So I actually have to drag it out a little bit further to find that right swing right at the very end. And this is where Lexus Audio Editor is really good for sampling, because you can really zoom in and find where the waveform ends precisely before chopping it up and basically segmenting it from the rest of the song. So now that there is a little bit of space in the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that portion up. Now that I have the perfect loop for the most part, I'm going to give myself some room on both ends. That way I can adjust the tempo and the speed without losing any portion of the track. I add more space to the sample because it actually needs room when you're adjusting the speed or the tempo. When you make your final selection on how fast or how slow you want it to go, it's going to take off some actual space on the song itself or on the selection. So you always give yourself more room for comfort, and you can always adjust that trimming feature later on, but always leave room for yourself when sampling songs in Lexus Audio Editor. Right now, I'm just trying to find the proper speed that I really want the sample to swing in. Typically, I always start with slowing it down, but I try not to make it too muddy or too sloppy with the slow down feature. But my whole goal right now is just to find something that swings with a good tempo, not too fast, not too slow, definitely not the original, as much as I love it. So like I was saying before, you can always come back in and basically grab exactly what you need using these little white handlebars to find where you want the sample to play at, all the way up to where you want it to end. And where the red line is basically where your zoom in is gonna go. So always remember that when trying to find specific parts of the song. Now that I found it, I'm gonna go in the settings and go to trim inverse. So I'm pretty satisfied with this loop. And now it's time to save, export it, and take it into BandLab. So now I'm basically looking at the full measure of sound to see where it ends exactly, to make sure it ends right on that line. I'm gonna go ahead, go to my settings, and go to Snap to Grid, which will make sure that it is quantized based off of this 120 BPM setting that I have it on. I'm gonna basically loop it now, see how it sounds. So I'm pretty happy with how it's sounding right here. It's pretty steady. Doesn't have too much of a delay on the swing going from beginning to end. It's pretty seamless. So now it's time to add some special effects onto it to amplify the drums. So I'm gonna go with the graphic EQ because it really captures all the dynamics that I want to manipulate. As you can see, when you take down that 6.4 hertz bar and basically you're lessening the higher frequencies within the sample or the song that you're mixing. So I really want the low end to not shine too much, but at the same time, I know that's the backbone of this sample. So I want to kind of balance that low end and that high end. Initially, I turn things down because you can't really hear what's shining if everything's loud. So I always make sure I turn certain things down at first, and then I'll eventually toggle it up. And this is the part of mixing that definitely takes the longest because it's such a it's such a niche. Like, oh, this frequency sounds higher than that frequency. Like, the average ear isn't really picking up these things or thinking about it, but from a producer's perspective, you have to, because you want to make sure if you layer something on top of it, you don't have frequencies clashing into each other and then taking your song into the red. So I've added this tape simulator to basically give it a little bit more texture and also amplify the drums a little bit. So this is what the drums sound like without any of the special effects that I added. And this is what it sounds like with the special effects. Now, of course, I'm gonna toggle some more of the effects itself, just to make sure the dynamics sound exactly how I want them to sound before adding on any more layers or any more structure to the beat. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Feel free to leave a comment if you enjoyed it, if you learned something. If you have any suggestions in the future, please feel free to drop that in the comment section as well. If you want to collab, feel free to either email me or reach out via DM or Instagram at Nimbus or Flying Nimbus. Either way, appreciate you guys for tuning in. I look forward to making more videos for y'all in the future. Until next time, peace.